Okay, in a recent interview via Zoom, I haven't looked into that yet, with the World Boxing Council President El Presidente Mauricio Suleiman, the legendary Hands of Stone Roberto Duran was questioned to reveal his personal top 10 list for who he believes is the greatest or the greatest boxers of all time. Or maybe they should have said the greatest boxer of his time. No, thinking about it now, I remember seeing some older names in there. But okay, so former multi-divisional world champion from Panama, go for a second and broke things down, but only gave off 8 names outside of himself. Only said top 10. He gave 8 names and then himself. That's 9. It wasn't the top 10. Damn it. It was being conned. Okay, so on my list, I'd mention greats like Muhammad Ali, Rocky Marciano, Marvin Hagler, Julio Cesar Chavez, Sugar Ray Leonard, Joe Frazier. That's interesting. It's got Joe Frazier on the list. Okay. Tommy Hearns, Ruben Olivares. 68-year-old legend added, I'm already in bad shape. But yes, sure I get up there in the ring and fight for charity. I do my best to evade the big punches. Who did deny? Muhammad Ali, Rocky Marciano, Marvin Hagler, Julio Cesar Chavez, Sugar Ray Leonard, Joe Frazier, Tommy Hearns, Ruben Olivares.
Sugar Ray Leonard's on that list, or he never mentioned him?
Sugar Ray Leonard's there. Sugar Ray Leonard.
No, he's entitled to his opinion, isn't he? And he is considered the greatest lightweight whoever lives, so he's entitled to his opinion. I'm surprised he didn't put Tommy at number 1. But yeah, because he never wanted to fight anyone after the first fight, ever. I have to respect Duran, man. He's been around much longer than me, and I'm pretty sure he's seen some of those cats fight live and in person. He probably trained with most of them, so I have to respect his opinion, you know?
Big boys boxing. You've seen the list. Muhammad Ali, Rocky Marciano, Marvin Hagler, Julio Cesar Chavez, Sugar Ray Leonard, Joe Frazier. It's an interesting one. Tommy Hearns, Ruben Olivares.
Yeah, just looking at the list, I don't know if he's put them in order or not. They're just names he would mention. So,
yeah.
But definitely Joe Frazier, I wouldn't put in my top 10. And Ruben Olivares, I don't know who that is. Maybe that's just a little bit of a Mexican bias to put him in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Troy was saying, you got to respect Roberto Duran's opinion. He's definitely earned the right to be able to say whatever he wants about any boxer being the greatest lightweight that's ever lived. So good on him for putting them out there. It's out there now for people to critique or criticize. So yeah, good for him. I'd agree with most of his list though.
Yeah. I look at his list, Muhammad Ali, greats of all time, Rocky Marciano. Well, he was unbeaten. And he did have a hell of a punch on him. I find it difficult to measure Marciano, difficult to place him. Maybe we could do a study on that one day. That's going to be a topic. How do we rate Rocky? In fact, that will be because it's something we need to know. It's an interesting discussion. We're going to have a big round table on Rocky Marciano one day because I think it's hard to gauge him. So we're going to have to make a topic, let everybody know in advance so people can do their research. We need to talk about Rocky Marciano because I find it hard to place him.
I also find it hard to place him because of the mafia involvement. You don't know how many of his fights were fixed.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That too. And he did fight Joe Louis, but that was the last fight in Joe Louis' career. So how do you can't really put Joe Louis on Marciano's record to me. You put an end of career Joe Louis on his record, just like Muhammad Ali on Larry Holmes' career. I find it, that's not a win that I chalk up to Larry Holmes. You see what I'm saying?
It's not a prime Muhammad Ali, so you can't really count it as.
Yeah, I can't count that as a prime Muhammad Ali. And the same way I can't count Joe Louis on Marciano's record. Troy Graham, is he there?
Yeah. I say this about Rocky Marciano. He gets a lot more credit than he should, but he also gets unjudged fairly, because what people don't realize is that Jersey Joe was a great fighter. He's a great fighter, and he was what they call a cutie back in the day. His movements and stuff, and just the things, and just his knowledge in the ring. And he was one of the main sparring partners for Joe Louis for years, right? And then you take Ezra Charles, who actually changed up his style because he fought someone and they died in the ring. But he was another great fighter, albeit a little small because he moved up. Ezra Charles actually beat Archie Moore twice.
Yep.
He beat him twice, and he fought on. I want to say he fought on the Black Murderers Row. So he beat some of those guys, and so he's another Hall of Famer. Joe Louis, we have no control over the time that they fought. Joe Louis actually had to have that fight because he was paying back the IRS. And honestly, Joe was outboxing him, moving as slow as he was and all that. He just could not pull the trigger at that point, because at that point Joe was older and everything he did had caught up to him, all the women and all that. And he also started drinking back then too. So there's a lot that goes into that. But Rocky Marciano gets faulted because of his the time. The time, like they say that Jersey Joe was old. He was old enough to knock out Ezra Charles win the heavyweight title, and he lost it, right? And then Ezra Charles was small, but he was still a great fighter. He was beating heavyweights. And on top of all that, there's a great fighter by the name of James Toney. His trainer was friends with Ezra Charles and knew all about him, and he made James watch old tapes of him, and that's who he really patted himself after until he found himself, James Toney, Ezra Charles.
Well, so say you can't have Larry Holmes on Mike Tyson's record either. Well, I think you can, because Larry Holmes went on to have big wins after Mike Tyson. So that's slightly different. I hear what you're saying. It's in a similar vein, but the difference is that Larry Holmes went on to have big wins after he fought Mike Tyson. So I say that's a difference. What do you say, Big Boys Box? Is that different?
Agreed. Yeah. Like you say, they're still in the same vein, but definitely a bit of a difference there as well.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a difference there.